It's Tim Albright with AVNation and InfoComm 2017 with Tim Conway of Adder. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Good. I loved you and Carol Burnett.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I had to say that.
It's tough getting into that costume, I got to tell you.
Obviously, this is not Tim Conway, the actor, but he's lived with this his entire life, so it's not the first time you've heard that
Definitely
horrible joke.
Certainly not.
Adder, if you're not familiar with Adder, Adder makes really robust KVM keyboard, video, and mouse switchers. Talk about a couple of the things that you've got going on and you're showing here at the show. One of them, let's start with the big one.
Okay.
Right, the Infinity, and then go from there.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the AdderLink Infinity is really, it's a product that we've had out there in the marketplace now for probably about 5 years, I'd say, and has really grown into being the flagship product for Adder. Okay. It is, at its core, it's an IP-based KVM system. So what we've done in sort of revolutionizing the KVM space is getting away from the direct connect model of KVM that really kind of bottlenecked everyone. You were limited in terms of how far your computers could be from the switch or how far your user could be from the switch, how many users or computers you could have. By taking this into the IP realm, I like to say to people that IP, when you talk about it in terms of KVM, should be synonymous with flexibility. Okay. So it really gives you the ability to have as many computers, or what we would refer to as transmitters in our lingo, and as many users or receivers as you need. And what we've done is we've taken the approach that here we are, this KVM company out of Cambridge in the UK, right? We aren't quite going to come to the market and say, you need to rely on us for every aspect of this. We're experts in KVM. So we'll handle the transmitters, the receivers, the endpoints, if you will. But that whole switching matrix in the middle, we don't need to recreate the wheel, right? With a tip of the cap to them, right? Yeah. The HPs, the Ciscos of the world sort of run that world. So, and they do it quite well. So our philosophy is use that as the switching backbone.
So to be clear here, what you're taking in, and if you're not familiar with KVM switches, what you've got is you have the ability to send, it's a matrix for a bunch of different things, and obviously peripherals is one of those things that you can kind of matrix around. Traditionally that had been a 4x1 or a 5x1 or what have you, based on the hardware. What you're talking about is more utilizing the network backbone.
Absolutely.
To send and receive as many as you want.
Without question. So yes, using your example, when you talked about control room KVM switches, yeah. Typically you'd have a switch that might be 4 users and 24 computers. So obviously you're bottlenecked there. What if I need a 5th user? What if I need a 25th computer? You are in a difficult spot because of the limitations of the actual hardware. In the case of using an IP-based KVM system, you simply add another receiver if you need that 5th user. You add another transmitter into the mix, it gets discovered and configured, and it becomes part of it. So having an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old at home, I like to refer to it as KVM Legos. Huh? You just sort of add a brick wherever you need one.
Now, it sounds, in my head, it sounds a little bit overwhelming, right? So if you've got 25 or 30 or 100 or what have you, transmitters and receivers, it's a lot to configure. It's a lot to keep track of. Is it software-based, how you do this, and how do you keep track of all of your different devices?
Yep, absolutely. Without question. You've got to have sort of the traffic cop in the middle, yeah. Right? So what we do there, we have a product called the AdderLink Infinity Manager, or our AIM system. And it's something that you would buy alongside the endpoints.
So it's not necessarily that within those products, but it's conjunction with it, and you have to purchase it to make these work.
Correct. It's a separate piece of hardware that runs the AdderLink Infinity Manager software on it. It can fit anywhere within the confines of that network, so it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same rack with all of the transmitters or all of the receivers.
But as long as it's on the same network.
Anywhere in that network, and allows you as the administrator to go in and configure your entire system. You can set up individual user profiles, who has access to what. You can configure the various endpoints as you need them, assign IP addresses, set up just about any kind of control mechanism that you'd really want in there.
So what has been the response from the IT world? Because you're putting things on their network,
yes.
and us and AV have experienced over the last 10 or so years, some of the conflicts that can happen there. What's been the response from the IT folks?
I think in the beginning there was that natural bit of, whoa, I don't know about this, right? And I think we've all experienced that, yeah. Especially around this show. But I think it's it's become the norm. As I think you walk around InfoComm today, you see the message of AV over IP, KVM over IP. It's becoming the norm. IP is sort of going to run the world, and it became a very obvious mechanism, a very obvious way, in our opinion, of the way we saw the world going. So we jumped on it at a very early stage, and as I say, the Infinity has really launched itself into the mainstay of the Adder product line now.
So that is your flagship. Something new that you're doing here at this show is you have I guess the worst way to say this is a step down. You have a smaller version.
Yes, yeah. We're coming out with a product called the AdderLink XDIP, and really the catalyst for this product was looking at the market and understanding that Infinity is a very robust, it's a very powerful system, as we were talking about, scaling to the point of one of the largest Infinity installations we have anywhere in the world is over 1,500 endpoints. So it can really scale.
And that's transmitters and receivers both in that number.
That's correct, okay. Yes. I don't want to be the administrator setting that one up. But it will scale to that. Having said that, down to someone who has a much smaller need, a much smaller profile, a handful of users and a number of computers that they want to go over IP, it became a bit too robust of a system and having to pay for that manager in the middle. So we wanted to look at how do we simplify that, still use the flexibility of IP. So the beauty of the XDIP product is that we've come out with a unit that the physical hardware, transmitter and receiver, are absolutely identical. It's the same physical piece of hardware. You just set it up as to whether I want this one to be a transmitter, I want this one to be a receiver, which again adds to that message of flexibility. Yeah. You can use it for one project where you need, 2 users and 10 computers, and then flip it around a week later and do the reverse if you need to. Yeah. Right? So basically what we've done with the XDIP, fully IP based, as I say, but you don't need that manager in the middle because each individual receiver has the capability of connecting back to a limited number, like to 7 transmitters. Yeah. So in other words, every user has access to 7 different computers. It doesn't have to be only 7, right? So we could turn around and we could say that you have 10 different users and you could have 100 different computers, right? Each user is only going to be able to access 7. You and I can access same, different. It really becomes, again, that flexibility factor. You can set it up however you'd like. But without that manager in the middle, it becomes a bit more of an affordable fit for that smaller application.
All right, very cool. You got one more product that you guys are showing this year as well?
Yeah, I think the other one that we're really excited about in terms of InfoComm, being focused on AV and sort of that command and control marketplace that we really see booming out there in the world. One of our other very successful products over the past few years has been our Adder CCS Pro 4. It's a 4-port KM switch. Everybody's used to KVM. It's a KM switch in that it controls your keyboard and your mouse. It's one of those wow factor kind of a products. And basically what we do with it is you take 4 different computers that the user needs to be interacting with. You feed the USB from each one into our switch and you bypass the switch with the video. So you have 4 monitors in front of you. Our box then, you would set it up and show it what you have configured, and it's smart enough that as the user is working on screen number 1 and they're about to move beyond the frame of the screen, our switch can see that and it will seamlessly move the mouse across to screens 2, 3, and 4, and the KVM switch, or the KM switch in this case, will switch itself automatically. So the user doesn't have to do any mouse presses, any button pushes, keyboard hotkeys. We refer to this as free flow, and you can free flow across all 4 screens.
What is the lag like that?
There isn't any.
Okay.
It literally just switches you, it slides you right across. It's completely imperceptible to the user. The beauty of this is that it's non-invasive to the computer. There's no software that needs to be installed on the computer. Nice. Everything is happening within the switch. So this has been such a popular for us. We've seen huge growth in that command and control market, really in the 911 call center market, places like that. That we've had customer feedback saying, we love this product, but we'd love for it to support more than 4 systems. Yeah. So here at the show, we're actually launching our CCS Pro 8. So obviously,
8.
Same functionality, 8 computers to allow for for that kind of flexibility for
Excellent.
customers.
Well, Tim, if somebody needs to get a hold of you or gets a hold of Adder and wants to become a dealer, how do they do that?
They can obviously, simplest way would be to visit our website at www.adder.com. That's the simplest and easiest place to find us. All of our contact information is there, and we would love to work with anybody.
All right, thank you so much, Tim
Thank you.
Conway
Appreciate it.
from Adder. My name is Tim Albright from AVNation. For more information about us, you can find us at avnation.tv.